Gratitude is the most powerful force we often take for granted. In the rush of our daily lives, we overlook the things that make us truly rich, the small moments, the quiet blessings, the things money can't buy. We're so caught up in chasing what's next that we forget to appreciate what's now. And yet, gratitude has the power to shift everything. It transforms what we have into enough, what we've experienced into wisdom, and what we've endured into strength. When was the last time you stopped to be thankful, truly thankful for the air you breathe, the body that carries you, or the people who love you? If the pressure has gotten too much for you, sometimes life feels heavy, and the weight of the world makes us forget how fortunate we are. We dwell on what we've lost, what we lack, or what we're waiting for, instead of focusing on what we already have. But gratitude isn't just about acknowledging the good times. It's about finding the good in every situation. It's about standing in the middle of your storm, your chaos, and still finding something to hold on to, something to give thanks for. Because when you start to look for the good, you begin to see it everywhere. Think about the things you've taken for granted. The roof over your head, the meal on your table, the smile of a stranger. These aren't small things. These are gifts, pieces of a puzzle that create a life worth living. But the problem is, we're conditioned to focus on what's missing instead of what's present. We scroll through social media and compare our lives to highlight reels, forgetting that everyone is fighting battles we don't see. We allow ourselves to feel incomplete because we measure our worth against standards that were never meant to define us. And in doing so, we lose sight of what's already ours. Gratitude is a choice. It's not automatic, it's intentional. It requires effort, a conscious decision to pause, look around, and say thank you. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've been given another day to make things better. Gratitude doesn't ignore the hardships, it shines through them. It's what allows you to look at a difficult situation and find the lesson, to look at a closed door and see the opportunity for a new path. It's the foundation that helps you build resilience, the light that guides you when everything feels dark. When you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you think about? Do you immediately dive into the stress of the day, or do you take a moment to be grateful for the fact that you woke up at all? That simple act of gratitude can set the tone for your entire day. It can shift your perspective, align your priorities, and remind you of what truly matters. The truth is, we can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we respond. And gratitude is one of the most powerful responses we have. Gratitude also connects us to others. When we express our thanks, when we acknowledge the people who've helped us, supported us, or simply stood by us, we strengthen those bonds. And in doing so, we create a ripple effect. The more you show gratitude, the more others feel it, and the more it spreads. It's a chain reaction that can change lives, starting with your own. So why wait for a perfect moment to be grateful? There's no such thing. The perfect moment is the one you're in right now. No matter where you are or what you're going through, there's something to appreciate. It might be small, it might be quiet, but it's there. And the more you practice gratitude, the easier it becomes to see. So it's not about ignoring the struggles, it's about finding the strength to keep going because you've recognized the beauty that still exists, even in the midst of hardship. Drifting away from yourself doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual, subtle, like a boat slowly pulled off course by an unseen current. One day you wake up and feel a sense of emptiness, a nagging thought that something is missing. That's the drift. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It works quietly, slipping into your routine, weaving itself into your decisions. And before you know it, you're far from the person you once were, the person you're meant to be. Acknowledging the drift requires honesty. It takes courage to admit that you've lost touch with your purpose, your values, or your authentic self. For many, it's easier to deny it, to stay busy, distracted, or numb, rather than confront the unsettling truth that you're not where you want to be. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The drift often comes from giving too much of yourself to things that don't truly matter. Yes, most responsible individuals are the most likely to be away from their best self. If you belong to an organization or group of people who prioritize work and sacrificing the drift, then that's why you feel like you fail. It's the endless striving for external validation, the constant pressure to meet expectations that aren't even your own. Over time, this takes its toll, leaving you feeling disconnected, out of alignment, and uncertain about who you really are. There are signs of the drift if you're willing to pay attention. Maybe you feel like you're going through the motions, living on autopilot instead of with intention. Maybe you find yourself saying yes to things that don't serve you or no to opportunities that scare you because fear is taking control. You might notice that the things that once brought you joy no longer light you up, or that your dreams have been buried under the weight of obligations, doubts, or excuses. These are not just coincidences. They are signals, reminders that something within you is calling for attention, for change. The drift is often accompanied by a sense of regret, a feeling that you've somehow let yourself down. But regret doesn't have to be a stopping point. It can be a starting point. It's not about blaming yourself for the choices you've made or the paths you've taken. It's about recognizing that those choices, those paths have brought you to this very moment, a moment where you can choose differently. Because the truth is, the drift doesn't define you. What defines you is how you respond once you've noticed. For some, the drift comes from being too focused on the past. You replay old mistakes, dwell on missed opportunities, and let the weight of what was hold you back from what could be. For others, the drift comes from being too fixated on the future, constantly chasing goals or milestones, thinking, once I get there, I'll be happy. But happiness isn't waiting for you out there. It's something you cultivate within, right here, right now. The drift pulls you away from that truth, convincing you that fulfillment lies in some distant place or time, when in reality, it's always been within your reach. Sometimes the drift is caused by the company you keep, the environments you stay in, or the habits you've developed. Maybe you've surrounded yourself with people who don't uplift or inspire you, or you've settled into routines that drain your energy instead of replenishing it. These external influences can slowly erode your sense of self, making it harder to hear your own voice amidst the noise. But when you recognize these patterns, you gain the power to change them. Acknowledging the drift isn't about having all the answers or knowing exactly how to fix things. It's about being willing to pause, reflect, and ask yourself the tough questions. What do you truly want? What do you value most? What are you willing to let go of to reclaim your sense of purpose? These questions can be uncomfortable, but they're necessary. They're the first steps toward finding your way back to yourself. Standing in front of a mirror and truly looking at yourself is one of the most profound and difficult things you can do. Not just glancing, not just fixing your appearance, but really looking into your own eyes, into your own soul. The mirror doesn't lie. It reflects not just who you are on the outside, but also everything you carry on the inside. Yet how often do we avoid this? How often do we walk past mirrors without truly engaging with the person staring back at us? There's a reason we avoid it. The mirror asks questions we're often not ready to answer. Who are you really? It asks. What do you stand for? These questions strip away the labels, the roles, and the masks we wear for the world. They strip away the excuses, the justifications, and the stories we tell ourselves to feel comfortable. The mirror doesn't care about the versions of ourselves we've constructed to fit in, to succeed, or to survive. It cares about the truth. And the truth isn't always easy to face. For many, looking into the mirror means confronting things we've buried deep down. It means facing our fears, our doubts, our insecurities, and our regrets. It means acknowledging the promises we've broken, not to others, but to ourselves. It means asking whether we're living the life we truly want or the one we've settled for. These aren't questions with simple answers. They're questions that demand reflection, honesty, and often a willingness to change. When you look into the mirror, what do you see? Do you see someone who is proud of the choices they've made? Someone who is walking in alignment with their values and purpose? Or do you see someone who has drifted, who feels lost, or who has compromised too much? Whatever you see, it's not about judgment, it's about awareness. Because awareness is the first step toward transformation. The mirror is also a place of accountability. It doesn't let you hide. It forces you to take ownership of your life, your actions, and your decisions. It's easy to point fingers, to blame circumstances, or to wait for someone else to make things better. But the mirror reminds you that the power to change, to grow, and to rediscover yourself lies within you. It reminds you that you are both the problem and the solution, the question and the answer. For some, the mirror reflects a version of themselves they don't recognize. Maybe you've become someone you never intended to be. Maybe you've been so consumed by the expectations of others that you've lost touch with your own desires, your own dreams. The mirror forces you to confront that disconnect, to ask yourself where you went off course and what it will take to get back on track. It challenges you to let go of the person you think you're supposed to be and reconnect with the person you truly are. The mirror also shows you your potential. It reflects not just who you are, but who you could be. It shows you the strength you've gained from your struggles, the wisdom you've earned from your mistakes, and the resilience that's carried you through. It reminds you of the dreams you've had, the goals you've set, and the possibilities that still exist. It's a reminder that no matter how far you've drifted, you can always find your way back. Looking into the mirror isn't a one-time event. It's a practice, a habit, a ritual. It's something you do not just when you feel lost, but also when you feel strong, to remind yourself of where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. It's a way to stay grounded, to stay connected, and to stay true to yourself. Because in the end, the mirror is not your enemy. It's your guide, your truth teller, and your greatest ally in the journey of finding yourself again. Life often teaches us to value grand gestures and big achievements. But the real power lies in the small steps we take every day. These steps, though they may seem insignificant in the moment, have the ability to reshape our lives entirely. When you're trying to find your way back to yourself, to reconnect with your purpose and rediscover who you are, it's not about taking one massive leap. It's about showing up, consistently, putting one foot in front of the other and trusting that every small step matters. The problem is that we often underestimate the power of these small actions. We think they're too simple, too ordinary to make a difference. We set big goals and expect quick results, and when those results don't come immediately, we feel defeated. But real transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's not about a single moment of change. It's about the accumulation of small, deliberate actions over time. It's about choosing again and again to move forward, even when the progress feels slow, even when the steps feel too small to matter. Remember, small steps have a way of building momentum. Each one creates a ripple effect, leading to another and another until the progress becomes undeniable. It might be as simple as waking up 5 minutes earlier to start your day with intention. It might be saying no to one thing that drains your energy or saying yes to one thing that fuels your growth. It might be writing down one goal or taking one action toward a dream you've been putting off. These steps may not seem like much at first, but over time they add up. They create a foundation, a path, a way forward. You are managing your life. Taking small steps also allows you to focus on the process instead of the outcome. When you're fixated on the destination, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by how far you have to go. But when you shift your focus to the step right in front of you, everything becomes more manageable. You don't have to figure it all out at once. You don't have to have all the answers. All you need to do is take that next step, however small it may be, and then the next one, and the next one after that. These small steps also teach you to be present. They force you to slow down and pay attention to the journey instead of rushing toward the finish line. They remind you that growth isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's messy, even when you're not sure if it's working. Because every time you take a small step, you're proving to yourself that you're capable, that you're committed, and that you're worth the effort. The world we live in is louder than ever. It's filled with endless notifications, constant chatter, and a never-ending stream of information. Everywhere you turn, there's something vying for your attention, pulling you in 100 different directions at once. Over time, all that noise starts to drown out the most important voice you have, your own. The voice that guides you, grounds you, and reminds you of who you are. When you lose connection with that voice, you lose connection with yourself. That's why cutting the noise is essential if you want to rediscover who you are and what truly matters to you. Cutting the noise doesn't mean escaping the world completely. It means learning to filter out the distractions that don't serve you, the things that cloud your mind and pull you away from your purpose. It starts with recognizing where the noise comes from. For some, it's the constant scrolling through social media, comparing your life to the curated highlights of others. For others, it's the endless demands of work, the pressure to always be on, or the expectations of people who don't understand your journey. The noise can even come from within, those inner critics and doubts that replay in your mind like a broken record. To cut the noise, you have to create space for silence. Silence isn't empty, it's full of potential. It's in the quiet moments where you can finally hear yourself think, feel, and reflect. But finding that silence requires intention. It might mean putting your phone down and stepping away from the constant buzz of notifications. It might mean saying no to activities or obligations that don't align with your values. It might mean carving out time to sit with yourself, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Silence can be intimidating because it forces you to face yourself without distractions, but it's also where the real work begins. In that silence, you start to notice things you've been ignoring. You notice the thoughts and feelings you've been suppressing, the dreams you put on hold, the parts of yourself that you've been neglecting. The noise has a way of numbing these things, making it easier to avoid them. But when you cut the noise, you give yourself the chance to reconnect with what's real. You give yourself the space to ask the questions that matter. What do I truly want? What's holding me back? What steps can I take to move forward? Cutting the noise also means being selective about what you allow into your life. You can't control everything that comes your way, but you can control how you engage with it. It's about choosing what you consume, whether that's the media you watch, the conversations you participate in, or the people you surround yourself with. If something doesn't uplift you, inspire you, or align with your values, it's okay to let it go. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you create space for something that does. It's important to remember that cutting the noise isn't about isolating yourself. It's about creating a balance between engaging with the world and staying connected to yourself. It's about knowing when to step back, when to recharge, and when to protect your energy. This balance looks different for everyone, but it always starts with awareness. You have to be honest with yourself about what's draining you and what's fueling you. You have to be willing to make changes, even if they're uncomfortable or inconvenient. When you cut the noise, you also create room for stillness. Stillness is where clarity lives. It's in those moments of stillness that you can hear the whispers of your intuition, the quiet nudges that guide you toward your purpose. Stillness allows you to be present, to appreciate the moment you're in, and to connect with the things that truly matter. It's not about doing nothing. It's about being intentional with your time, your energy, and your focus. The more you practice cutting the noise, the more you'll notice the difference it makes. You'll start to feel lighter, more grounded, and more in tune with yourself. You'll begin to hear your inner voice more clearly, to trust it, and to let it guide you. The noise of the world will always be there, but you don't have to let it control you. You have the power to choose what you listen to, what you focus on, and what you allow into your life. That power is yours to claim, one moment, one choice at a time. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood and underappreciated acts of self-liberation. Many people view it as something you do for others, a gift you give to those who have wronged you. But the truth is, forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. It's about releasing the heavy burdens you've been carrying, burdens of resentment, anger, pain, and regret. These emotions, when held on to for too long, don't just hurt others. They hurt you. They keep you tethered to the past, unable to fully embrace the present or move forward into the future. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It doesn't mean condoning the actions that caused you pain or pretending that everything is okay when it's not. Forgiveness is about acknowledging what happened, accepting it, and choosing not to let it define you or control your life. It's about reclaiming your power, your peace, and your ability to heal. Because as long as you hold on to the hurt, you're giving it control over you. You're allowing it to shape your thoughts, your emotions, and your decisions. The process of forgiveness isn't easy. It requires confronting the pain you've experienced, which can be uncomfortable and even overwhelming at times. It requires honesty about how you feel, what you've endured, and what you need to let go of. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a journey, one that takes patience and self-compassion. But the rewards of forgiveness are worth the effort. When you forgive, you free yourself from the chains of bitterness and anger. You create space in your heart and mind for peace, joy, and growth. Forgiveness isn't just about others, it's also about forgiving yourself. Many people carry guilt and shame for mistakes they've made, opportunities they've missed, or ways they've fallen short. They replay these moments over and over in their minds, punishing themselves long after the situation has passed. But holding on to that guilt doesn't serve you. It doesn't change the past or make you a better person. What it does is weigh you down, making it harder to move forward and create the life you want. Forgiving yourself is one of the most powerful acts of self-love. It's about recognizing that you are human, that you've made mistakes, and that those mistakes don't define your worth. It's about learning from the past without being bound by it, about using those experiences as fuel for growth instead of as anchors that keep you stuck. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean ignoring accountability. It means holding yourself accountable in a way that's constructive, not destructive. Forgiveness also requires empathy, not just for others, but for yourself. It means seeing the humanity in everyone, recognizing that we're all flawed, and understanding that pain is often a cycle. Hurt people hurt people. And when you can see the pain behind someone else's actions, it becomes easier to release the anger and resentment you feel toward them. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you understand it. And that understanding is a powerful step toward letting go. Letting go doesn't mean erasing the memory of what happened. It means changing the way you carry it. Instead of holding on to it as a source of pain, you hold on to it as a source of strength, a reminder of how far you've come and how much you've grown. Forgiveness transforms your pain into wisdom, your wounds into scars that tell a story of resilience and healing. When you forgive, you're not just setting the other person free. You're setting yourself free. You're breaking the cycle of pain and reclaiming your ability to choose how you want to live your life. You're taking back control, not by holding on to the hurt, but by releasing it and allowing yourself to move forward without the weight of the past dragging you down. This is what forgiveness truly offers: freedom, not for them, but for you,